Hey everybody, so the draft is behind us and NHL free agency is quickly approaching, just a couple days away on Wednesday. And in this video, we are going to look at the top 10 free agent goaltenders who, at least as of now, will be available on Wednesday when free agency opens. Do want to remind you that any of these guys could sign with their current teams at any point. So there is a chance that maybe one or two of them don't actually make it to free agency on Wednesday. But as of right now, these guys will all be available come Wednesday afternoon. And these are the 10 best goaltenders, in my opinion, available in free agency this year. So before we begin, I just ask you please hit that thumbs up and subscribe. It helps the channel so much and is greatly appreciated. But let's get into it here, starting with number 10, Brian Elliott, who played last season with the Philadelphia Flyers. He is a 36-year-old veteran goaltender who has started 457 games in his career. He has a career record of 256, 155, and 49, a 2.53 career goals against average, and a career .910 save percentage. Last season, like I said, he was in Philadelphia, and he had a pretty rough year in Philadelphia, starting 26 games, 15, 9, and 2 record, which actually isn't terrible given the fact that he had a 3.06 goals against average and a save percentage of just .889. However, Philadelphia was one of the worst defensive teams, if not the worst defensive team in the NHL last year. They absolutely hung their goaltenders out to dry, Elliott being one of them. Carter Hart also had horrendous numbers last year because the team defense was so bad. And I do think that Elliott could be a solid veteran backup still if he goes to the right situation with a better defense in front of him than what we saw with Philadelphia last season. I think, he's not a guy that's going to play a lot of games at this point in his career, but for a team that might need a veteran backup to play, 25-ish games next year, I think Elliott could still be suitable in that role. So he is in at number 10. Number 9, I have James Reimer coming from the Carolina Hurricanes. He is 33 years old. He started 351 games in his career, going 173, 131, and 43 with a 2.79 goals against average and a .913 save percentage. Last year in Carolina, he started 21 games. He actually had a very good record of 15, 5, and 2 with a 2.66 goals against average and a .906 save percentage. Reimer played with a very, very good Hurricanes team in front of him last year, and he won a lot of games, and he put up pretty decent numbers. I would have liked to have seen his save percentage a little higher, but Reimer can still be a suitable backup. He's definitely not a guy I would want playing a lot, but he certainly is a guy that can be a suitable backup, and at 33 years old, I wouldn't expect any massive decline due to age or anything like that. So if a team wanted to nab Reimer on a 1 or 2 year deal, even a 3-year deal, I still think he could be a decent backup goaltender in the NHL. And if you have a good team in front of him, he's shown that he can win games when he has a good team playing in front of him. So Reimer, to me, is in at number 9. Number 8, we have Jaro Halak coming from the Boston Bruins. And it's already been said that Halak will not be returning to Boston. So he will be hitting the open market on Wednesday for sure. He is 36 years old. He spent the last couple of years in Boston and actually has played well for them, although didn't have a great year last year, which I think is one of the main reasons the Bruins are moving on from him. In his career, he's been in the league a long time. He started 517 games in his career, going 281, 173, and 62 in those games, with a very respectable 2.48 goals against average and a .916 career save percentage. In 2021, this past season with Boston, he started 17 games. It was definitely a down year for Halak. He just went 9-6-4 with a 2.53 goals against average, but the real issue was his save percentage was down to .905. And he also did have a bout with COVID during the year, so really wasn't the same after that. I still, though, do think that Halak, with some time to recover now, a full off season, and a chance to, with a fresh start next season, still can be a very good backup goalie. Because if you go back to the 2019-20 season, Halak was excellent for the Bruins as a 34-year-old. So I really do think Halak can still be a very good veteran backup. And I definitely think he's going to be signed this offseason, and I have him as the 8th best goaltender available. I think for any team out there looking for a veteran backup, Halak is probably near the top of their list. Coming in now at number 7, we have Antti Raanta from the Arizona Coyotes. He is 32 years old, coming off an injury-plagued season last year, but when he's healthy has shown signs of being a very good backup or even a 1B caliber goaltender. In his career, he started at 179 games. In those games, he's gone 93, 65, and 20 with a 2.46 goals against average and a .919 save percentage. Those are some pretty good individual numbers. Last season with the Coyotes, he only started 11 games. It was a very injury-riddled season. He had a record of 5-5-2, so that means obviously that the games started and the number of games in his record don't match up. That means he got a decision in a game that he did not start. But he had a very, very bad 3.36 goals against average last year and only a .905 save percentage, which obviously is way down from his career save percentage. Injuries played a big role in it. Arizona not being very good also obviously played a role in it, but Antti Raanta, when he's healthy, can be a very, very good, even underrated goaltender. Now, the problem is that injuries have kind of plagued him throughout his entire career, so his health and availability is a bit of a question mark, which is one of the things that has him down on this list at number 7. Also, the bad year last year definitely lowered him on the list from where he could have been. But still, with a change of scenery possibly, and if he can stay healthy next season, we could very much see a bounce-back year from Antti Raanta. And I do think that he is a pretty good option as a backup goaltender on the market this year. He comes in at number 7. Next up, number 6, we have Jonathan Bernier, who played with the Detroit Red Wings last year. Now his rights are owned by the Carolina Hurricanes because he was part of the Alex Nedeljkovic deal. But he has not signed an extension or a deal with Carolina since being traded there. So if he doesn't by Wednesday, he will be a UFA and will hit the open market. He's a 32-year-old goaltender who I am actually really, really high on. He's unfortunately for most of his career played on really bad teams, including the past 2 seasons in Detroit. But I think individually he's shown over the past couple of years that he can be a solid goaltender, and he's actually put up some pretty stellar individual performances despite being on one of the worst teams in the league. So Bernier started 355 games in his career. He's won 161 of them, lost 159, and lost 39 in overtime. He has a career goals against average of 2.77 and a .913 career save percentage, which is actually pretty good. A .913 is a very respectable save percentage. And I'm going to talk about that very shortly here because in 2021, he started 23 games with the Detroit Red Wings. Obviously had a losing record because Detroit was not good, 9-11-1, with a 2.99 goals against average. However, managed a .914 save percentage on one of the worst teams in the NHL. And there were times where he absolutely stood on his head in goal for the Detroit Red Wings. And that's one of the reasons I am really, really high on Bernier heading into this free agency, because I think he is a starting level goaltender, or at the very least a 1B tandem guy in the NHL. And I think if you put a better team in front of him, Bernier's going to put up some pretty darn good numbers. Now, unfortunately, he's spent the last few years with the Red Wings, who have not been good. He's really spent his entire career on a lot of bad teams. If Jonathan Bernier can go somewhere to be the second guy in a goaltending tandem and play with a good team in front of him, I think he could surprise a lot of people with how good he is. I really, really do. And I am excited to see where he goes this offseason. Next up now, coming in at number 5, we have Petr Mrazek, who is also coming from the Carolina Hurricanes. He is 29 years old. He started 250 games in his career, putting together a record of 128, 96, and 31 with a 2.59 goals against average and a 911 save percentage. In 2021, this past year, he was injured, so he was limited to just 12 games started for the Hurricanes. But in those 12 games, he went 6-2-3 with a 2.06 goals against average and a very, very good 923 save percentage. The issue with Mrazek is consistency. This guy sometimes is really, really good. Other times is really, really bad. And also, he's got to stay healthy. He's been injury prone through a lot of his career. Mrazek can be a starter, but there are inconsistencies in his game that he definitely needs to work on. He wouldn't be my ideal starting goaltender, but he could be a very, very good 1B, and I have him at number 5 on the list. Coming in at number 4 now, we have Linus Ullmark. 27-year-old goaltender coming from the Buffalo Sabres. Now, there has been talks that the Sabres want to re-sign Ullmark and are trying to get a deal done, so that could happen over the next couple of days. But Ullmark is one of my favorite goaltenders on this list and in free agency this year because he has put up extremely good individual numbers on an extremely bad team in Buffalo throughout his career. He started 112 games going 50, 47, and 13. I think it's absolutely miraculous that he's had a winning record in his career playing for the Buffalo Sabres. He has a 2.78 career goals against average and a 912 save percentage. He had a very strong 2021 where in 20 games started, he went 9-6-3. Again, a winning record on the worst team in the league with a 2.63 goals against average and a 917 save percentage. If he's putting up those numbers in Buffalo, think of what he could do starting for a good team, a playoff level team. Ullmark is extremely underrated, and I think he has, if he leaves Buffalo, has a chance to surprise a lot of people with how good he is. And he is one of my favorite goaltenders available in this year's class. Coming in at number 3 from the Boston Bruins, we have Tuukka Rask. He's 34 years old. Now, there's a couple of things here. One is that Tuukka Rask is injured. He played with a torn labrum in the playoffs. He will not be playing this coming season until February, and I don't think he's going to be back until probably late February this coming season. Also, I think it's either Boston or nothing for Tuukka Rask. There's been talks about him going back to Finland. There's been talks about him retiring altogether. I think he either plays in Boston or doesn't at all. So the chances of another team being able to get him, I think, are pretty slim. However, he is an unrestricted free agent and he doesn't have a deal in place, so he does have to be put on the list because he is a UFA. I have him at number 3. Obviously, he's a very, very good goaltender. Starting to definitely slow down a little bit now that he's into his mid-30s, but still, 540 games started in his career, a record of 306, 163, and 66, and an incredible 2.27 career goals against average, and a 921 career save percentage. Last year with Boston, he started 24 games in the regular season. He went 15-5-2 with a 2.28 goals against and a 913 save percentage. Again, Rask is still a very good starting level goaltender. Can't play as many games as he used to anymore, so he definitely needs a solid backup with him, or even more of a 1B type guy. But still putting up solid numbers even at 34 years old. I do think it's Boston or nothing for Rask, but he will be available on Wednesday, most likely. So he's got to be put on the list. Number 2 here, Frederik Andersen from the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's 31 years old, coming off a really bad year. He struggled in 2021, but overall is still a very highly talented goaltender. Absolutely one of the best goaltenders available if he does reach free agency and doesn't go back to Toronto. He started 381 games in his career, going 226, 148, with a 2.65 goals against average and a .915 career save percentage. This past year, like I said, was a struggle. He missed time with injury. He only started 23 games. He went 13, 8, and 3 in those games with a 2.96 goals against average and a very poor 895 save percentage. His save percentage wasn't even 900. It was a long year for Freddie Andersen. That's definitely not his best showing, but he's still a very talented goalie. And he is one of the top goaltenders available in this free agency class. There is no doubt about it. And there's talks he could be going back to Toronto. They're very much in the mix. He also may end up going somewhere else. If he hits the open market, there will be suitors for Frederik Andersen. There is no doubt about that. Finally, coming in at number 1, and there's really no question about this, Philipp Grubauer, who is a Vezina finalist this past season, does not have a contract in place for next year, and as of now will be a free agent on July 28th. He is 29 years old, played on one of the best teams in the league, arguably the best team in the league last year, definitely one of them in the Colorado Avalanche. And he started 187 games, going 109, 61, and 21 in his career, with a 2.34 goals against average and a .920 save percentage. Last season was absolutely spectacular. It was a career year for Grubauer. He ended up being a Vezina finalist and finished 3rd in the Vezina Trophy voting as the best goalie in the league. He started 39 games for the Avalanche, going 39-1. With a 1.95 goals against average, which is remarkable to have a goals against under 2 over the course of an entire season, and a .922 save percentage. It was a monster year for Grubauer. I do think a deal gets done between Grubauer and Colorado. I think he's likely to be back with the Avalanche. However, nothing is official yet. And as of now, he will be a free agent Wednesday afternoon. So Grubauer, I definitely think, is the best available goaltender in this free agent class. And we will see what happens with him. But there you have it, guys. Those are my 10 best free agent goalies available in 2021. We'll see where these guys end up. I would not be surprised if some of them end up back with their current teams. Some other guys definitely going to be on the move, and it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. Again, they could sign with their current teams before we get actually to unrestricted free agency on July 28th, but none of those deals are in place yet, and as of now, these guys will be available Wednesday. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon, merchandise store, donation link, and channel memberships are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you guys soon.